since everybody seems so ready, we'll go ahead and call this April meeting to order. Y'all are kind of making me nervous over there. You're so quiet. But to start with, we're going to, Jeff is going to do our invocation and then do our Pledge of Allegiance.
That's correct. Heavenly Father God, we just pause this time before this meeting to honor you and to place in our prayers up to you, Father. We know that you all things are possible and you provide all that we have. Lord, we just pray your blessings over this meeting. We receive extra blessings over this department and this state. Lord, we just pray all in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, we'll go ahead and have a roll call. Kristen?
Yes, I'll go by congressional district, starting with District 1, Ms. Purcell. Present. District 2, Mr. Floyd.
Present.
3, Mr. McIntyre.
Present.
4, Mr. Brown.
Here.
5, Ms. Key.
Here.
6, Mr. Abel.
Here.
7, Mr. Bowen.
Here.
8, Mr. Golden.
Here.
9, Ms. Dunn.
Here.
10, Mr. Boswell.
Here.
11, Mr. Lewis.
Here.
12, Mr. Morris.
Here.
13, Ms. Lemon. And 14, Mr. Sharon.
Okay, well, thank you for being here today. It's we're starting to look like a normal crowd again, and that's very nice. So at this time, though, I will ask for a motion to approve our minutes. I hope you all got yours and read yours, but the minutes from the last meeting. Second? All in favor? Thank you. Okay, at this time, Albert Shelby will come on up for our May letting.
So, good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioner, members of the board. I'm here to present the projects the department is proposing to advertise for the May 2022 letting. Before we present May 2022, here are the FY 2022 results so far. We have let a total of 194 projects. The chart shows the number of projects by improvement type. The value of these 194 projects is approximately $1.037 billion. Through the March 2022 bid awards, with 188 GDOT let projects worth approximately $999 million, and 6 local let projects worth $37.5 million. This chart shows the dollar amount distribution by improvement type, with maintenance, bridge, and road projects making up the bulk of these types. Here are the results of the March 2022 letting. Of the 30 GDOT let contracts presented to the board, 28 were awarded and 2 were rejected from the letting. Now I'm going to discuss the projects in the May 2022 letting. We have a total of 31 projects, 29 are GDOT let and 2 are local let. The next 3 slides list these 28 non-TIA projects arranged by congressional district. So as you can see with this slide, we're letting a variety of projects throughout the state to address bridge, capacity, maintenance, and safety issues. Our first highlighted project is the replacement of the structurally deficient bridge on 10 Mile Church Road over 10 Mile Creek. The existing bridge was constructed in 1968, which was 54 years ago. And here's a ground view of that bridge to be replaced. The next highlighted project is the replacement of the structurally deficient bridge on State Route 377 over the Heart of Georgia Railroad in Americus. The existing bridge was constructed in 1911, 111 years ago. This project was delivered using state and bond funding. And here's a ground view of that bridge to be replaced. This next project is 1.42 miles on State Route 1 US 27, consisting of widening an existing 2-lane roadway to 4 lanes with a 20-foot raised median and urban shoulders. It begins at the intersection of Auburn Street and extends northerly to its intersection with Morgan Street. This project will complete the last link in the multi-laning of the heavily traveled State Route 1 US 27 corridor from I-85 south of LaGrange to near Wall Road north of LaGrange. The corridor provides needed north-south multi-lane facility through this growing urbanized area. And this project was also delivered using state and bond funding. This next project will resurface I-20 from just west of Columbia Drive to the Rockdale County line for 10.86 miles. This section of I-20 was last repaved in 2010, 12 years ago, and is an excellent example of our continued commitment to maintaining our existing infrastructure. Next, we have Young Harris Widening. This widening and reconstruction of State Route 2, State Route 515 in Union and Towns counties from east of Blairsville to north of Young Harris. The total project length is approximately 8.5 miles, with 7.25 miles of widening from Blairsville to Young Harris from 3 lanes to 4 lanes with a 2-way left turn lane. It also includes 1.25 miles for the 2-lane rural bypass in Young Harris. This project will provide additional capacity as well as an alternative route around downtown Young Harris. A significant amount of the funding provided for this project was from the Appalachian Regional Commission, which is an economic development partnership agency of the federal government and 13 state governments focusing on 423 counties across the Appalachian region. The next project is the replacement of the structurally deficient bridge on State Route 82 over Middle Oconee River. The existing bridge was constructed in 1967, 55 years ago. And here's a ground view of that bridge to be replaced. This next highlighted project will convert the existing compact roundabout on State Route 81 at Jackson Lake Road and Snapping Shoals Road into a conventional single-lane roundabout. This project will improve safety and provide continuous flow at the intersection. This project is the extension of the Path 400 trail network with a footprint from Wyuka Road to Lorden's Drive. The Path 400 multi-use trail system is a 12-foot concrete path with a minimum of 2-foot shoulders on either side. Path 400 is a critical link in the region's trail network, opening the entire North Metro area to access to the system and to the Atlanta Beltline. Path 400 provides critical intermodal connectivity with direct access to Lindbergh, Lenox, and Buckhead MARTA stations. The expansion of the Path 400 network is a regional priority to provide alternative transportation in the Georgia 400 corridor. This project is being locally led and is sponsored by the City of Atlanta. The final highlighted project is the replacement of the structurally deficient bridge on Bell Telephone Road over Whitehead Creek. The existing bridge was constructed in 1962, 60 years ago. And here's a ground view of that bridge to be replaced. These next projects will be advertised in May of 2022. The actual let dates are not until August of 2022. We are advertising these early to receive an abundance of quality bids. Here are those 2 projects. The first project will widen US 278 to a 5-lane section consisting of 4 travel lanes, a 14-foot flush median, and rural shoulders, including intersection improvements at the I-20 ramp terminals at US 278. The second project will construct a frontage road parallel to I-20 and consist of 4 travel lanes, a 20-foot raised median, rural shoulders, and a multi-use path.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'm here to present the TIA projects for the May letting. We have 3 projects in the southern Georgia region, 1 in Congressional District 12, 1 in 8, and 1 in Congressional District 1. We will be resurfacing and doing shoulder widening on Youngie Fussell Road in Coffee County. This is in Congressional District 12. This project will start approximately at State Route 32 and run to the Atkins County line, and this represents a blended total budget effort of approximately $3.8 million. And it says Coffee County, but this is Cook County. This is Valdale Road resurfacing. This is just resurfacing. Approximately 9 miles of resurfacing from US 1 in the city of Adel to the Lowndes County line in Cook County, and this represents a TIA investment of $2.1 million. And our final project is Horseshoe Road resurfacing. This is in Pierce County, Congressional District 1. And this project will resurface approximately 8 miles of West Horseshoe Road and Fletcher Road from State Route 15 to North Horseshoe Road in Pierce County. And this represents a blended project effort of about $1.5 million. Sorry.
So we have 31 projects for the May 2022 letting. This chart shows the distribution by improvement type. The estimate of these projects in the May 2022 letting is approximately $240 million. This chart shows the dollar amount distribution by improvement type. I now ask for your consideration for approval of the proposed projects presented for the May 2022 letting.
Do we have a motion for the proposed letting? Do we have a second? Okay, any questions or comments for Mr. Shelby? Apparently not. You do such a good job, so we don't have any questions, but thank you. Oh, all in favor? Okay, thank you. Okay, next on our agenda is Matt Markham, our Deputy Director of Planning, for revisions.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'm here to you this morning to bring forward proposed revisions to the construction work program. As I do most months, there are two sets. There's a set of revisions that will be brought to you today for review, and we'll come back next month for recommendations, and then the set that I brought last month that are coming before you today for recommendation for revision. First, the ones for review for next month, there's a total of 28. 13 of them are deletions from the program, bridges in Congressional District 2, 8, 9, 10, and 14. And then 15 additions, 14 of them are bridges in Congressional Districts 1, 12, and 14, and then one bike pedestrian project in Toombs County. So those are on this screen here. And so those will come back to you next month for action. The next set I have for you are the ones that are recommended for action for revision to the program. There's a total of 24. All of them are additions to the program. 21 of them are bridge projects in Congressional Districts 2, 3, 8, 9, 10, and 12. One is a culvert replacement in Terrell County. One is a slope repair project in Fannin County. And then one is a drainage improvement project in Lumpkin County. And so those are here. And so those, Madam Chair, is there any questions coming before you for action this morning?
Do we have a motion to approve these revisions? Do we have a second? Do we have any questions? Okay, thank you for your, oh, all in favor? All right, thank you. Okay, at this time, we've got our Commissioner's report.
Good morning, Madam Chair, ladies and gentlemen of the board. It's a pleasure to present the Commissioner's report for this month. We'll start with state fund collections, as we typically do. For the month of March, collections totaled 171.57, got a little dyslexic there for a minute, $1 million. The breakdown on that was $155.59 million in excise, and the balance being $15.98 million in transportation fees. As Angela talked about transportation fees yesterday in the budget presentation. That brings fiscal year to date total to $1.65 billion. $1.46 billion in excise, $154.2 in transportation fees. As a comparison back to last year at this same time, revenues are tracking $158.57 million ahead of where they were last year same time, so that's a positive trend. As I report next month, you will probably see the suspension of the gas tax show up in the report. There is a lag in that. But as a reminder, as Angela presented the budget yesterday, our budget is not impacted due to that suspension of the excise tax that is in effect now. So that is all good news for us to continue to do our work. Let me move into our employment figure. Closing out at the end of March, 3,579 full-time staff, 24 maintenance temporary staff. Last month, we hired 39 employees and separated 50 employees for retirements and other purposes. So as Paul Denard gave his District 7 update yesterday and the conversation around his vacancies, it is not missed on us that building our staff back to near 4,000 is our objective. We're very grateful to the legislature and the governor for the $5,000 cost of living that was approved and passed, and then Angela showed you in the budget yesterday, as well as other retention and recruitment efforts in our budget. So as you heard Paul mention yesterday, that we had moved our starting salaries at entry level to $12.50 an hour, which was a positive trend. It is our intention to go to $15 an hour to, again, try to attract people to these very difficult jobs that we have to do. So I just wanted to mention that while we were talking about employment figures, because 3,579, I believe, is an all-time low or very close to it. We've got to continue to recruit and retain our talent. Moving into the next item here is our professional services procurement report. For last month, 174 professional services contracts were awarded at $56.8 million. And that brings our professional services contract year-to-date to 1,382 contracts valued at $525.9 million, so over $500 million in professional service contracts, which support delivering the projects that you approve each month. Now, since we were together last time, we'll just highlight just a few of the many projects that were open to traffic. The first one is in Congressional District 2 down in Decatur County, which is the Tifton District or District 4. And this project consists of a 2-lane bridge replacement on State Route 253 over Spring Creek in Decatur County. The contractor was Southern Concrete Construction Company. It opened to traffic on March 3rd. It represents a $12.2 million capital bridge replacement project, including $8.3 million in the bridge bonds. So as Albert mentioned in his presentation, where some bond dollars are used, we always like to acknowledge those bridge bond dollars, which help us do more work. And there's the picture of the final. It says a creek, but obviously you can see that there's the reservoir. Used to be a creek there. But a great looking project and certainly a much enhanced bridge there in Decatur County. Moving to our next project will be over in Congressional District 3 in Spalding County, which is also GDOT District 3. The project consists of construction of a bridge and approaches on Vaughn Road, which is County Road 35 over Shoal Creek, as I said, in Spalding County. The contractor was McCoy Grading, opened to traffic on March 9th. It represents a $2 million investment, which was funded out of our state funded bridge program. Again, doing our part to help local governments with their bridges. This project was open to traffic ahead of schedule as well, so glad to have this county road bridge replaced. Next, we'll move all the way up to the northwest corner of the state in Congressional District 14, Walker County, GDOT District 6. Again, this project consists of a low-impact bridge replacement program project on Hog Jowl Road, which is over Shaw Branch, which is up in Walker County, as I said. I was just thinking about the names of the roads we've heard today. There's some really interesting names of roads in Georgia. So everybody knows where Hog Jowl Road is, so Jowl Road. So this original bridge was built in 1948, and it was upgraded and widened back in 1972, but it was time to replace it. C.W. Matthews Contracting Company was the contractor. Represents a $1.2 million investment, again, all state-funded, low-impact bridge. Project was open to traffic right on schedule as well. So a lot of bridge replacements to highlight, so glad to upgrade those bridges. Now, at this point in the program, I always like to talk about honors and recognitions and achievements and update you on some of the things going on in and around the department. So I'd like to begin today with a special recognition that happened to our own Dana Lemon from the 13th Congressional District. On March 29th, Dana was recognized during the South Metro Development's Outlook 20th Anniversary Conference held down in College Park. Dana was chosen as the 2022 recipients of the SMDO's Public Service Leadership Award. This award recognizes visionary leaders who are dedicated to the South Metro region. Each year, the recipient is selected based on his or her commitment to do an extraordinary work addressing critical issues in the Southern Crescent and who demonstrated excellence in leadership through an outstanding initiative and deep local understanding. I was very honored to be there and speak at the event, and then join Dana and Stacy Key as well on stage as Dana was recognized. So it was a great event, and just wanted to highlight that. Congratulations, Dana. Again, always like to recognize how we may be viewed by others, and WalletHub.com actually just recently put out their ranking of basically the best and worst taxpayer return on investment states. And so I'm very proud to say that Georgia as a state ranked 4th overall in taxpayer return on investment for all the services. But as it goes to roads and bridges, we were ranked number 2. Why Tennessee's ahead of us, I don't have an idea. I'll take that up with them. But it's always great to be acknowledged again, and that's something we focus on here, is effectiveness in using taxpayers' dollars as efficiently and effectively as we can, and Wallet Hub acknowledges that. So just wanted to bring that before you. The next few items I want to talk about deal with safety. And this morning's Fatality Report reported 403 deaths on Georgia's roads so far this year. I remind you that we closed out last year with 1,844 fatalities across Georgia's roadways, which was up 148 from the previous year. So despite the pandemic, despite less traffic for a period of time, we saw more fatalities on Georgia's roadways, and that's significant. So pretty much as the nation. Georgia sort of moved as the nation. But this is something we have to continue to focus on. And each spring, in April, we join along with the other states to focus on Work Zone Safety Awareness Week. And this year's theme was Work Zones are a sign to slow down. And they really are. That doesn't happen, unfortunately, most times in work zones. So as always, we want to, again, provide a safe and connected transportation system, and safety is always number one. And again, seeing the increases on fatalities, we were glad to participate this year and really focus on work zone safety. In 2021, there was 12,300 crashes that occurred in work zones. Now, that could be any time. That doesn't necessarily mean when workers are present, but as you know, we pretty much work 24/7, a lot of night work, especially around metro areas. 54% of those work zone crashes were either due to somebody running out of their lane or running off the road, or rear end crashes. And as you know, as you enter work zones, usually traffic slows down, and those rear enders happen for people running into what we call the back of the queue as traffic begins to back up. There was also 17 fatalities in those crashes that involved commercial vehicles or tractor trailers. So it's very important for us, and you see these statistics on the screen, very important for us to acknowledge and highlight the dangerous work the men and women of GDOT does, as well as our contractors and consultants who are working along the roadways each and every day. And I want to certainly acknowledge our Strategic Communications Office for messaging, marketing, and trying to get the word out. So let's stay with the safety theme again, and talk a little bit about how do we work on education. And just would like to apprise you of a great partnership we have with the Let's See 43 Foundation, which we've partnered with to be an extension of our Drive Alert, Arrive Alive campaign and our other safety focuses. I'm happy to report that we joined in with Let's See 43 and hosted the inaugural Safe Driving Summit over at the University of West Georgia in Carrollton. and was on March 31st. At the summit, 450 students from 7 Carroll County public and private high schools received some real-world applicable lessons from partner organizations. Some of these partner organizations were Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, Wellstar Health System, Georgia State Patrol, the Carroll County Sheriff's Office, Carrollton City Police, Students Against Destructive Decisions, which is also known as SAD, and we had multiple other sponsors that made this day possible. You know, students and trying to get the high school students as early drivers are really a vulnerable age and more susceptible to the consequences of bad decisions. I know all of you never made a bad decision as a teenager, neither did I. But if we can try to get to these students early and educate them, we hope we have better return than the numbers I just shared with you on crashes and fatalities. You can see from these photos a lot going on. We had actually some real life scenarios presented to the students, including a crash simulation in which crash victims who were played by volunteer actors were treated by real trauma medical teams from Wellstar, including a life flight helicopter. Now, I'm told that this simulation was so real that would make you sick, because they had them, you know, with cuts and, you know, looks like the Walking Dead kind of deal. So really impactful and made a big impact. So Mike Lutzenkirchen, the founder of Let's See 43, who is pictured here on this slide, talking to the gentleman on the left, who is Doug Turnbull. If you listen to 95.5, you'll hear Doug Turnbull give you the traffic reports. Did a great interview, and also Doug is the gridlock guy in the AJC, did a great article about this event. We certainly appreciate it. The media coverage for that. You can see the life flight helicopter. And Let's See 43 has such a strong message. We're going to bring Mike to speak to you at a committee meeting in June, I believe, to share his message about what Let's See 43 is doing, and such a great partner we have with Let's See 43. And we'll continue to try to deploy this same approach around the rest of the state. And we certainly also are very appreciative of the partnership with West Georgia to make their facilities available and to bring so many people to the table. So again, safety continues to move forward. And as such, you have at your desk the Spring Milepost Edition, which has, again, a strong partnership, a strong focus on safety, including an article about the Let's See 43 Foundation. So you can read along there. And also, as we focused on safety, it's been a couple years ago now, I mentioned a partnership with Scholastic. If you remember, Scholastic was, if you're a certain age, you used to buy books at school. You could buy books. But Scholastic also gives teachers lessons plans and provide lesson plans. And so this was a partnership to provide safety lesson plans to teachers. And as a part of that, we have the ability through those lesson plans for students to provide their safety message and work on the campaign. And if you flip to the center of this, we've highlighted the winner of a competition. And so take a look at what the students have done and how they're trying to message and target safety initiatives. A great partnership, again, all focused on safety. Of course, there's a lot of other great articles in here. The winner of the competition in the center of the magazine was Allie Youngblood and Emma Reeves from Thomas County Middle School in Thomasville. And so they were the winners. And I just, again, thanks to Scott and Strategic Communications for really putting out a great milepost and really getting the word out and messaging. So great job there. Thank you. Now let me transition away from safety a little bit. And yesterday you heard from Andrew Heath about the new bipartisan infrastructure law, new programs of carbon reduction and protect. And he shared with you this slide of buckets, and he was talking about the yellow bucket. I want to talk about the white bucket just for a minute to give you some awareness for a program called Transportation Alternatives. It used to be called Transportation Alternatives Program. It is indeed what it says. It's different forms of transportation beside highway. Think about paths, trails. You just saw Albert demonstrate the Path 400 project moving forward. Sort of the non-motorized approach to transportation is what this program is. and it's basically the left bucket. It was an existing program under the FAST Act, but it was plussed up. So there was more dollars through the bipartisan infrastructure law added to that program, including some changes. So Georgia is allocated $54 million in FY22 for this program. Think about the white bucket with other 4 or actually 5 smaller buckets under it. The money is allocated by population. Andrew mentioned that yesterday in his presentation. There's population for over 200,000 people. There's population from 50,000 to 200,000. There's population for under 50,000, and then there's population for even under 5,000, sub-allocated. So the money has to be allocated in those population areas. And then statewide, there's $22 million, 22 out of the $54 million that we can deploy statewide. Now, this program has been around, and as you recall, over the last year, we did a call for projects, for TAP projects. We had good success, but we need to have even greater success now because there's more dollars available to draw down. So I'm planning, Janine Miller and her team will send something out in the next week or two to inform you about a call for projects going out. But I wanted to just tee this up so that you're aware of it as they deploy this information. And I ask for your help. I ask that you talk to your cities and county representatives and inform them that these opportunities exist. There was always a little bit of a challenge previously under the previous transportation bill, was that the local governments had to deliver the projects. And often, especially when you get into the smaller populations, it's a challenge to deliver a federal aid project which has all the federal requirements in it. The bipartisan infrastructure law will allow GDOT to administer the project if the local government makes a request to do so, and then obviously we have to agree to do so as well. But it's opened the door to help maybe that we can help deploy these dollars around the state to these population sub-allocation areas, and we will certainly want to be interested in using all the federal dollars that comes our way. So just stay tuned for that, more information to come your way, but certainly getting the word out is very important. Y'all remember the buckets, right? Just stay with the buckets. All right, let me move into some other sad news, and I just want to express our sympathy to the Gary Milhot family. Gary passed away on April 14th. Gary retired from GDOT back in 2003 as an area engineer down in District 3 and worked over 30 years, but many of you probably know Gary from his work in the consultant area. Currently was the construction services manager for EXP. Great partner, great friend of GDOT, and we certainly want to extend our sympathy to his wife, Donna, and his family in his untimely passing. Now let me move into another category and address again a tragic event of back on April 5th, just a few weeks ago. In Bryan County, was hit by EF3 tornadoes with winds over 185 miles per hour. Tornado completely destroyed many homes in its path. It damaged a lot of other facilities and structures, and hundreds of acres of trees were damaged, snapped off, destroyed, and roads were blocked. Sadly, there was one person killed in the storm and 12 others injured. If you saw the storm path, you'd be amazed that people survived at all. The governor declared a state of emergency almost immediately, and GDOT immediately went into action. Our crews responded the same evening, that very evening, as in darkness, to trying to get out and start clearing roadways. Often we're tangled in power lines, down power lines and utilities, which complicates the things. But we worked starting to deploying materials, bringing tarps, generators, light plants immediately that evening from all over. The department had over 209 employees working, including down in Bryan County, which is District 5, including 41 employees from District 2 mobilized and stayed down last week and to help the cleanup and help District 5. Over 100 pieces of equipment. GDOT cut up, loaded, and hauled away 1,733 dump loads of debris. And I think we may still be counting, but that is a tremendous amount of work on county roads, city streets, and again, a lot of work. In addition, not only in Bryan County, but in Macon-Bibb County, our District 3 folks responded to local needs as well. I think worked a day or two there to help get their roadways open as well. So, you know, again, I think this response highlights the very best of the men and women of GDOT to help fellow Georgians in their time of need, and they respond immediately and show up to get the job done. So, Madam Chair, I'm very proud of our response to that. Glad that we can help in those situations. And again, all the district response for that is just amazing. The men and women there, again, they just, you tell them we got to go now, and they get it done. It's just amazing to see how they come together. So that concludes my report. I'll be glad to take any questions or comments.
Ms. Purcell?
Commissioner, I too want to say thank you to District 2 as well as my own District 5 that represents the 1st Congressional District and the 12th Congressional District. They were outstanding, and you're correct. They were on the job immediately in Bryan County. We did have a lot of destruction hitting the city of Pembroke as well as out in Ellabelle, Lanier, and the Black Creek area as it went to the interstate. So I commend them. They were there. They were Johnny on the spot immediately. So thank you for a wonderful team that we have at GDOT and for the response that they give, and particularly when you have a disaster that showed up as it did in Bryan County.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I guess not, but thank you for that very comprehensive report.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda is a resolution. I think Mr. Kevin Abel is going to present that.
I've known Chris for a couple of years. I don't know him well enough to say anything funny or embarrassing. But I do know Chris well enough to know that he is one of the quintessential leaders in Georgia transportation. And we're very lucky to have had him, and obviously we're very sad that Chris is moving on. You know, when someone gets the opportunity to stand up and say laudatory comments about, you know, a retiree or someone who's leaving an organization, you know, the comment is made that, you know, the person who's going to replace him has a pair of very big shoes to fill. Very big shoes, literally and figuratively. You know, with Chris leading 3 organizations, the person replacing him is going to have to fill 3 pairs of very big shoes. I kind of have this idea that people who lead our transportation agencies have nightmares at night. They have a recurring nightmare. Each has his own recurring nightmare. You know, I imagine, Russell hasn't told me this, but, you know, when I think of Russell's nightmare, I think of him standing out at a construction site. There's a new bridge being, you know, spans on a new bridge are being laid. It's late at night, traffic's closed, and the spans come down, and one of the spans is just 6 inches too short, and he wakes up in a sweat. With Chris, I think that his nightmare is the governor has just called him and asked him to lead yet another Georgia transportation agency, and not only that, it's another 4-letter unpronounceable acronym. You know, like I said earlier, I've learned a lot from Chris just in the last couple of years, and Chris is just a tremendous friend of not only Atlanta Transportation, but Atlanta Transit. And I don't know where he's moving on to, but I know wherever he goes, he's going to continue to be a tremendous resource and friend to our public sector, and I'll continue to look forward to working with you in the future, Chris. I'm just going to read from the source document, I think. Okay. Feels so much more official. Okay. Whereas Chris Tomlinson has served the people of Georgia with distinction over the course of a career in state governments spanning a quarter of a century. That's a long time, Chris. And whereas Chris has built close relationships with colleagues within the Georgia Department of Transportation and on the State Transportation Board, thanks to his collaborative nature, his long tenure, and his significant contributions to mobility that have improved the lives of innumerable people. And whereas Chris will step down in May from his leadership of 3 interrelated agencies as Executive Director for the State Road and Tollway Authority, SRTA, the Georgia Regional Transportation Agency, GRUTA, and the Atlanta Regional Transit Link Authority, the ATL. Couldn't they have just moved the letters around so that they were pronounceable acronyms? Anyway, whereas in that combined role, Chris led state-level authorities whose shared missions are focused on improving mobility in Georgia by providing reliable, innovative, multimodal transportation solutions to motorists and transit commuters, and whose combined operations include the Georgia's Peach Pass tolling system, the Georgia Transportation Infrastructure Bank, and the state's Metro Atlanta Regional Commuter Bus System, known as Express. And whereas Chris provided the vision to move the agencies forward in a time of great change that included refurbishing and replacing much of the Express commuter bus fleet and reorganizing its position in the state's transit networks, helping ensure that large developments receive the analysis needed of their potential impacts on traffic, and overseeing tolling operations for multiple new Georgia Express lanes that have eased congestion and significantly reduced travel times. And whereas Chris also has served tirelessly on the board of directors for the Metro Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority, MARTA, pronounceable, and the International Bridge, Tunnel, and Turnpike Association, IBTTA, where he also served as the 2019 president and has served as his agency's primary liaison to GDOT's Public-Private Partnership Program, the P3 program. Whereas Chris's earlier roles included serving as Deputy Executive Director and General Counsel for CERTA, serving as General Counsel for several other state agencies, including the Georgia Department of Transportation, the Georgia Technology Authority, and the Georgia State Financing and Investment Commission, where he also was Deputy Director for the Construction Division. And whereas Chris has a distinguished academic record that includes graduating cum laude from Morehouse College with a bachelor's degree in political science and earning a Juris Doctor degree from Georgia State University, and whereas among Chris's many accolades, he was named to the list of Atlanta's most admired CEOs in 2019 by the Atlanta Business Chronicle, and was named in multiple years to Georgia Trend's list of the 100 most influential Georgians. And under his leadership in 2017, a commuter credits pilot program won a President's Award, the highest honor worldwide from the International Toll Organization, IBTTA. And keeps going. Whereas to all of us who have known and worked with him, Chris has demonstrated the joy and meaning that he found in his work and has shared that spirit of positivity and intentionality with all whom he touched, and has been a role model to so many others for how to exemplify a life of public service leadership. And therefore, be it resolved that the State Transportation Board recognizes Chris Tomlinson for his exemplary contributions, his loyal service, his friendship, and for his unwavering dedication to the citizens of Georgia over the last 25 years. A copy of this resolution shall be spread upon the minutes of this meeting, and a suitable copy will be presented to him in honor of his substantial contributions to our state. May I make a motion, Madam Chair? That the board
Yes, we have a
accepts
motion for this resolution. Do we have a second? Any comments? Well, we thank you, Chris, and we hope you have a good future in whatever you endeavor. All in favor? All in favor of that? Aye. Okay, thank you very much. Chris?
Thank you. I'm amazed that all fit on one page. I can't thank this board and really this department enough. It's been the honor and privilege of a lifetime to work with you, serve alongside many of you as we've worked through the highs of establishing the Peach Pass system, the interesting times such as bridge collapses, and the unprecedented times with the pandemic. Like I said, it's been an honor and a privilege. I've been lucky enough to not only be colleagues, but to call so many of you friends. I think of myself and Commissioner McMurray. We go all the way back to when he was a division engineer, and I was an attorney, as I call myself now, a recovering attorney. And I can't thank you enough for both the friendship, the counsel, the advice, and I can't think of a better partner. I mean it sincerely from the bottom of my heart that I did a count. I think I've worked with 6 different commissioners, and I just wanted to say Russ McMurray is the best. I know Vance is here, no offense, but it's truly been an honor and a privilege. And it is so difficult to leave and try to do something different, but I do it with the confidence that this state, certainly this department, are in the best of hands. And I just look forward to watching the progress. I feel like I was a part of planting many a seed, and it's just incredible how they're growing. I don't know how Tennessee was on top of that list either, but you know, typos will happen like that from time to time. And the last thing I just wanted to end with, it's not only the leadership of this board and the incredible management at the department, but the men and women of the department. I've worked, as you heard, lots of different places. Few places I've ever encountered have the sense of family and teamwork and dedication that has been a constant trait of the Department of Transportation here in Georgia. And that is something that I take forward with me in my current job, and I hope to help bring that type of value and characteristic into my future endeavors. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move into our committee reports. Mr. Boswell?
Madam Chairman, the Finance Committee convened on April 20th, 2022 at 1:30 p.m. Board members present included myself, Ann Purcell, Robert Brown, Emily Dunn, Kevin Abel, Johnny Floyd, Dennis McIntyre, Stacy Key, Rudy Boyne, Jeff Lewis, and Jerry Sharon. First order of business. Angela Whitworth, Treasurer, provided an update on the fiscal year 2023 budget. She reported an increase of $112 million in the conference committee version over the previous base budget. This included an additional $34 million in state general funds over the base budget for other modes of transportation, as well as other adjustments for recruitment and retention, and an additional $9 million for airport and then $8 million for short line rail. Excise funds increased over $48 million over the base amount, which funded the cost of living adjustments, other recruitment and retention initiatives, as well as funding additional capital construction and maintenance projects. An additional $2.9 million was included for short line rail improvements in the GO bond section. No actions were taken during this committee meeting. This includes my report. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Ms. Purcell?
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, okay.
Madam
Mr.
Chair, I'm going to
Bowles?
read the report in spite of my absence.
Okay.
But let me first off begin by saying thank you to Ann Purcell for chairing, my vice chair for chairing this committee during my long sabbatical. The Legislative Committee convened on April 20th at 1:45. Board members present was Vice Chair Ann Purcell, Johnny Floyd, Emily Dunn, Kevin Abel, Dennis McIntyre, Robert Brown, Stacy Key, Rudy Bowen, Jamie Boswell, Jeff Lewis, and Jerry Sharon. First order of business, Josh Waller, Director of Policy and Government Affairs, provided an overall summary of legislation presented to the governor from the 2022 legislative session, including highlights of potential implementation of legislation impacting GDOT. The governor has until the 14th of May to decide whether to sign or veto presented legislation or allow it to become law without his signature. No actions were taken during this committee, and this concludes my report, Madam Chair.
Well, thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Floyd?
Intermodal Committee convened on April the 20th, 2022 at 2 p.m. Board members present included myself, Johnny Floyd, Ann Purcell, Stacy Key, Robert Brown, Kevin Abel, Emily Dunn, Dennis McIntyre, Rudy Bowen, Jamie Boswell, Jeff Lewis, and Jerry Shireen. First order of business. Clement Solomon, Director of Intermodal, provided an update of intermodal programs including aviation, transit, rail, waterways, state safety oversight units. He discussed the status of intermodal projects and upcoming intermodal projects. There was no action taken during the meeting, and this concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Okay, now Ms. Purcell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Statewide Transportation Planning Strategic Planning Committee convened on April the 20th at 2:30 p.m. Board members present were Johnny Floyd, Jeff Lewis, Dennis McIntyre, Emily Dunn, Kevin Abel, Robert Brown, Stacy Key, Rudy Bowen, Jamie Boswell, Dana Lemon, and Jerry Shireen, as well as myself. Now, our first order of business, Matt Markham, the Deputy Director of Planning, provided a summary of the Department's Scenic Byway program and outlined the process for designating a byway. Scenic byways are designated roadway corridors that emphasize and promotes the quality of the natural, the cultural, the historic, the recreational significance in order to encourage travel and tourists and foster economic activities in communities throughout our state. GDOT's Scenic Byway program began in 1992, and there are currently 17 scenic byways located across our state of Georgia. The new byways are proposed by local sponsors who go through an application process that includes significant public and stakeholders' involvement before coming to the State Transportation Board for approval. The committee had no further business at this time, and Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Mr. Abel?
Yeah. The P3 committee convened on April 20th at 2:58 p.m. Board members present included myself, Stacy Key, Jeff Lewis, Emily Dunn, Jerry Sharon, Robert Brown, Ann Purcell, Johnny Floyd, Dennis McIntyre, Rudy Bowen, Jamie Boswell, and Dana Lemon. The first order of business, Matt Klein presented an amended and restated joint resolution between GDOT and SERTA for the SR 400 project. The amended joint resolution modifies the previous joint resolution for the project, which the board passed in December 2019, to reflect that the project is now a revenue model. The committee actions, Jerry Sharon made a motion to approve the amended and restated joint resolution between GDOT and SERTA for the SR 400 project, seconded by Jeff Lewis and approved by the committee. This concludes my report, and I now ask for a motion to the full board to approve this resolution.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, at this time, I'll read the committee report for the Committee of the Whole. Board members present included myself, Abel, Brown, Floyd, McIntyre, Key, Bowen, Boswell, Lewis, Lemon, and Sharon. Our first order of business was Paul Denard, the district engineer, provided an update on the activities of District 7. A district overview was provided that included statistics about the population, vehicle miles traveled, employees, and local jurisdictions served. District 7 is excelling in the areas of customer service with the inquiries received, an increase in productivity in special encroachment and utility permitting, in pre-construction, construction project delivery that supports training young staff. Several key projects were highlighted, including widenings, interchange improvements, pedestrian hybrid beacons, and roundabouts. An update of the district management activities was presented, and that included information on the ITB budget, pavement preservation, sign repair, and emergency and special events. Our second order of business, Andrew Heath, Department Chief Engineer, providing an update on the bipartisan infrastructure law implementation. The discussion covered both the new carbon reduction and protect formula programs. Information was provided detailing the anticipated funding amounts of these new programs, eligible project uses, and key provisions of the law. Additionally, the new Protect discretionary grant programs were discussed along with the eligible uses for grant response. Our third order of business, Mark Masternati, District Chief Engineer, made a presentation regarding impacts to construction costs as well as ongoing construction delivery. He highlighted global influences and shared ongoing efforts GDOT is undertaking to mitigate these impacts where possible. There were no committee actions, and this concludes my report. At this time, I do want to make one comment that I don't know if everyone is aware, but today is a really special day, April the 21st. It is Matt Klein's birthday, and I hope you all will join me in telling him happy birthday today. Every birthday is a big one, so there you go. Okay, is there any new business? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Mr. Abel?
Minor detail in the scheme of things. No, I'm just joking again. Yesterday, the P3 committee met, the P3 steering committee met, I should say, and some really exciting news regarding the 285 I-20 East Interchange project. And for that, I'm going to ask Meg to come forward and present.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Dunn, Board, and Commissioner. I appreciate the opportunity to come before you today and provide an update on the I-20, I-285 East Interchange. After a brief overview, I'll walk through the procurement process and our next steps. This is nothing y'all don't already know. We're going to rebuild the East Interchange at 285 and 20. But it's important to note that this does not preclude future connections to express lanes on I-20 and 285. But it's a very important project to rebuild an interchange that needs improvement. Our partnership with CERTA is how we deliver our P3 projects. Similar to the joint resolution amendment you just approved on 400, you approved one in June of 2020 for this project. And CERTA will be the contract holder and will make payments to the developer, and GDOT will act as the project manager and fund the project through an MOU with CERTA. And this project will be financed through 2030, which is 3 years after completion of the construction. P3 procurements are very complex and lengthy, and you can see here some of the effort we've gone through to get to this point. 4 teams were shortlisted, and over the course of the last 11 months, the department's team has worked closely with the shortlisted firms in pursuit of a highly competitive project. The 4 teams that were shortlisted in November of 2020 are shown at the top of the list here. One team, the East Expressway Connectors, chose to withdraw early in the procurement process. We've responded to over 1,000 proposer questions. We've had many one-on-one meetings, most done remotely, and 3 proposals were submitted on January 27th, 2022. We've gone through a lengthy and complex procurement process. Proposals submitted by any serious entity for such a long and costly endeavor includes many things that the department must evaluate carefully. Thus, we apply appropriate time and process to evaluate. Per statute, after our evaluation of responsiveness of pass-fail factors, we advertised the 3 executive summaries for each of the proposals for public comments. We received 10 comments, and the comments were generally regarding past performance of members of various teams, not so much the project itself. Then the technical and financial committees, evaluation committees, perform double-blind evaluations. So the technical committee comes up with a technical score, financial committee comes up with a financial score independent of each other. And based on the responsiveness and rating scoring and review process, the selection recommendation committee recommends to the P3 steering committee the proposal determined to provide the apparent best value. The P3 steering committee then makes a recommendation to the board for approval to determine the apparent best value proposer. Our procurement process allows us to accept alternative technical concepts, or ATCs, during the procurement process. An ATC is a design innovation that may save money or time or make the project better. And ATCs from unsuccessful proposers become the property of GDOT because we pay for these design ideas with a payment for work product. So, and these design ideas may then be incorporated into the final project with the successful bidder and can also be used on other projects that GDOT delivers through any method. In this procurement, 34 ATCs were approved from the 3 proposer teams, and we will own all of these ideas. 28 ATCs were included in the individual proposals. Some examples of ATCs may be elimination of a flyover bridge, reduction in bridge deck area, alignment changes, or just structural optimization. As I said earlier, we go through a very detailed scoring process. The technical score that teams can receive, the max is 250 points, and the financial score that they can receive, the max is 750 points. In a technical score, we look at things like the proposed schedule, their proposed approach to the project, and their technical innovations. And in the financial score, the lowest price gets the highest max points. As you can see, the team with the highest technical score is East Interchange Builders, and the team with the highest financial score is also East Interchange Builders, LLC. Therefore, the apparent best value proposer is East Interchange Builders for a contract sum of $685.5 million. These results were presented to the P3 Steering Committee yesterday, and I'll defer to Chair Abel to discuss the action of the P3 Steering Committee.
The P3 Steering Committee voted to move forward with negotiations with the best value proposer, namely East Interchange Builders, LLC. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion that the board approve moving forward in negotiations with the apparent best value proposer, East Interchange Builders.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you. As you can see, we had a very robust and close competition, and I cannot express enough how grateful I am to all of the teams that participated in this procurement. They spent thousands of hours and millions of dollars developing 3 very good proposals for us to consider, and we are so glad to have 3 well-qualified teams compete to build this important project. So for next steps, now that we have board approval, we will commence to finalize the project agreement with the East Interchange Builders team. And construction will begin in mid-2023 and is anticipated to be complete in late 2026. That's the best part. So this is a great result, and again, I want to thank the many members of our team, our innovative delivery team, especially Matthew Fowler, as well as our alternative finance team and our legal staff. Certainly our PMC and advisors, both legal, technical, financial, and our partners at CERTA who help us deliver these very important projects. It's truly a huge team effort, and we've come away with a very successful procurement. So thank you very much. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Abel?
Meg, thanks so much. And, you've expressed your, thanks to the team that's involved in this procurement. We sit on the board here, and every so often we get a little peek behind the curtains at how the sausage is made, as they say. And I've had a little bit of a bigger peek than most of us on this board, and yet still just a peek at what's happening behind the scenes. I mean, these P3 procurements are complex procurements. There's so much that has to happen in terms of the preparation of the procurement documents, the RFQ, the RFP, the mechanisms by which the best value proposer is going to be determined such that, everyone is happy with the result. There's obviously the desire, from a fiduciary perspective that GDOT receive multiple competitive qualified bids. And all that happens to make that happen is the work of many, many people in the GDOT organization. And, in this particular procurement, which is a substantial procurement, you see the numbers, we got 3 tremendous responses, very competitive, and this is just a great precedent that we hope will repeat for the upcoming, even more massive procurements that GDOT is going to be taking on in the next couple of years. So thank you, Meg, and thank you, Matthew, and thank you, everyone who's been involved.
Thank you for your comments, and I agree. I appreciate the hard work on every point, the department and the vendors. So I do appreciate that, but thank you so much. Okay, thank you, Meg. Okay, at this time, any new business? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Okay, thank you.